Hello my friends and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is kind of a fun one because a few weeks ago I asked you all in a community, it wasn't really a poll, it was mostly just a question I asked you to, it was before the end of the year, and I asked you to recommend a book and I would pick some from that list to read throughout the year of 2022. So what I decided to do is take 12, oh Kazi has a sneeze, take 12 books from the list that you all recommended and read those throughout the course of 2022. I was originally gonna assign a book a month, but I think what I'm really gonna do is just sort of have a goal to read one book a month, but then I'm gonna sort of let my mood dictate which one I decide to pick up, because I don't want this to feel like a homework assignment. I want this to just be a fun experiment of trying new authors that y'all, or maybe not new authors because I've read some of these authors before, trying new books that you have recommended to me. Now, a few of these are books that have already been on my radar that has just given me the final push to put them on a TBR and make sure to read them. Others are completely unknown to me. I have never heard of some of these books, so I am excited about this and can't wait to give these a shot. So, alright, here are the 12 books that I picked from your recommendations. Okay, so the first book that I put on here is actually, this was more of an author recommendation. Several of you recommended this author. Some of you said that you would really love to see her talked about more. You don't hear this author talked about at all. And there was one recommendation for this title. So the author is Susan Elizabeth Phillips, and the book is It Had to Be You. This is the first book in a series. It was published in 1994. And this is basically, it sounds like we have, I think, just based on the summary, it's a woman, like a New York, beautiful socialite woman who doesn't know anything about sports. She inherits this sports team, right? Does she inherit it? I don't know if she inherits it. She ends up taking over a very popular sports team. It says, a football team. Okay. I promise I read these summaries before I started filming this video. But, okay, so she is going to take over this team. She's not prepared for the head coach, who it says is a sexist jock taskmaster with a one-track mind. Yeah, so it sounds like it's their romance, they butt heads. This author has been recommended to me a lot from y'all, and I'm very excited for this. Hope that I love and adore it. So, okay, the next book is actually a book that I already own, and it is The Lady's Guide to Celestial Mechanics by Olivia Waite. This has shown up on several of my own TBRs that I have made for, last year, and it's just a book that I really want to read. I have a physical copy of it, I just haven't, for some reason, prioritized it. So now it is on this permanent must-read in 2022. So this book is a sapphic historical romance. So one of the women is sort of, she's having a lot of feelings because her ex-lover's having a sham of a marriage, and she's feeling pretty bad about that. So she gets this assignment to translate, translate a groundbreaking French astronomy text. So she ends up going to this countess's home, who is a young widow, and this young widow was just thinking that if she can just find someone to take on her husband's final project, then she can just sort of rest and relax for the rest of her life and not have to worry about it. She doesn't count on falling for and being attracted and drawn to the young woman who shows up on her door to translate the work. So honestly, I've heard nothing but wonderful things about this book. I think it sounds amazing, and I really can't wait to read it. So this is one I am already really hyped for. Very excited this was on this list. Okay, another book on here is a Mary Bellog book. I know that y'all have been very happy that I've been reading Mary after you recommended her to me, so I'm excited about this one. This book is Indiscreet. This is also the first in a series. This is the Horseman trilogy, right? Yes. So this is, again, a beautiful young widow. This is a Regency romance, and it says that she seems like she's easy prey for Viscount Raleigh. He's in the country visiting his twin brother. He wants a little bit of diversion. He wants a mistress, so he approaches Catherine Winters, the young widow, and she rejects him and is like, no, I don't want to be your mistress. So it sounds like it is those two. That's pretty much all of the plot that I have. That it sounds a little bit similar to Slightly Dangerous in plot, but I'm sure it will be a little bit different. So I'm excited for this one. I really love Mary Bellog, and I think this is going to be a good one. Okay, now this book is one that has been recommended to me several times, and it is The Tea Rose by Jennifer Donnelly. Now, I believe that, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe this is historical fiction with romantic elements. I don't think it's a romance, so if you know if this book has a HEA, just let me know if it has a HEA or not down below, just so I can be prepared, because I am committed to reading this. I just want to know if it has a happily ever after or not. You know, like if it ends in a tragedy, I just want to be prepared for that. So if you know if The Tea Rose by Jennifer Donnelly ends in a happily ever after, let me know down below. This book sounds really great, and I'm honestly really excited for this. So it's set in East London, 1888. Let's see. So it says, the heroine is a worker in a tea factory. She hopes to own a shop one day along with her lifelong love, Joe Bristow. It says he's a costermonger's son, which I don't even know what that is. I'll have to look that up. Nothing but their faith in each other. They struggle, save, and sacrifice to achieve their dreams, but then Fiona's life is shattered when the actions of a dark and brutal man take from her nearly everything and everyone she holds dear. Fearing her own death, she flees London, goes to New York. There, her indomitable spirit propels her rise from a modest West Side shop front to the top of Manhattan's tea trade. But then, of course, those old ghosts come back to haunt her, and there's a deadly confrontation, sounds like. She has to go back to London. Yeah. So I'm excited. I'm honestly very excited about this book, and it does definitely sound like there's going to be some heartbreak in it, but I think it will be really good. So I'm very happy about this. This one has been recommended to me several times, so I think it must have elements in there that you guys think that I'm going to like, so I'm excited about that. Okay, now the next book is one I'm really excited about. It's Storm by Carrie-Anne Cole. This is the first book in her Ashes and Embers series, and this one is interesting because I think this entire book maybe takes place over 48 hours. It sounds like the heroine crashes into a ditch. There's like some serious weather and road conditions that are happening, and so she ends up sharing a car with the hero for 48 hours, and he's got tattoos, long hair, all kinds of muscle, and he's actually he's the guitarist, a bad boy guitarist for America. It says it's America's favorite bad boy guitarist. So she doesn't know that, though. I don't know, this sounds really interesting. I am very excited about this one. I really love what I've read from Carrie-Anne Cole so far, and she's an author that I want to read more from this year for sure. So very excited about that one. Okay, now this next one, I had a few of you recommend Amanda Quick, and I actually have not finished a book of hers yet. I did start one, and I didn't finish it, not because I wasn't enjoying it, but I was reading it physically, and there wasn't an audiobook available at the time. I think there is one now. But, so, for most of the books on here that I picked, I tried to find most of them that had audio. So, the audio ones, I can pretty much guarantee I'm going to get to. If they don't have an audiobook, we'll have to see if I get to them or not. But the book I decided to go with was Reckless by Amanda Quick. Some of you mentioned this title, and others of you just said, how about an Amanda Quick? So I was like, absolutely. I mean, I've got a lot of her books that I've collected because of her beautiful stepbacks. Like, they're just outstanding. I mean, you recognize them right off the bat, you know? So I picked this one mostly just because I don't really hear anybody talking about it. And on Goodreads, very, very few of my friends, I think maybe only one or two of my Goodreads friends have actually read this. So, but I can't really tell you what this is even about. Like, the summary is a little confusing. It sounds like the heroine, it says, from a crumbling fairy tale castle on the stormy Sussex coast to a dazzling, dizzying masquerade ball comes an enchanting tale of a tarnished knight, a daring maiden, and a sweet, searing storybook love. So, like, I can't decide if there actually is, like, fantasy elements in this, or if it's just, like, she's dreaming of, like, fantastical. I mean, I guess it doesn't say that's fantasy, but I'm assuming that, I don't know. Anyway, heroine asks the hero to help her with something. It says that he's a noble-hearted hero born to rescue ladies in distress, which is why she asks him 8 years later to help her on a vital quest. So that's pretty much all I know about this. I am very intrigued with it, though, like, mostly just because I'm gonna be like, what the heck? What is that summary about? That's one of the most vague summaries I've ever read. So, okay, now, Another one, this one is actually really interesting. This is All Chained Up by Sophie Jordan. This is, I believe this is romantic suspense, and it's a contemporary romance. I've only read Sophie Jordan's historicals and her young adult books, and so I'm very curious about this one. This sounds like it's our heroine who ends up working in a prison. Is that right? Hold on. Okay, she's a nurse volunteering at a local prison, and the hero is in the prison. That's how they meet. But he's like super dangerous. That's basically what it just emphasizes, his danger. And then it says that she's very innocent, very sweet. She has no idea what the hero is capable of. They have this connection, it sounds like. But then when he gets released from prison is when things start heating up. I don't know. It sounds interesting. I'm very intrigued with that one. I'd never heard of this one before. Okay, now this one has me very intrigued. This is Night in Eden by Candace Proctor. I have never heard of this book. I have heard of this author. And yeah, I am excited about this. So the basic plot of this is we have our heroine, who is a wealthy, privileged English landowner. She's convicted of murdering her husband. She ends up transported to a penal colony in South Wales. While she's pregnant, she gives birth to her child there. She loses her child, and then Captain Hayden St. John comes, collects her from the prison so that she can be a wet nurse for his son because his wife just died, and it is their romance. Like, honestly, that sounds like it could be extremely triggering for a lot of people. I am very intrigued with this. It says that he's grief-stricken over the loss of his wife. The hero is bitter and untrusting. The heroine is fearful, angry about her fate and what happened to her. She is resentful of Hayden, but his child offers her a new will to live. So I think this is going to hopefully be amazing. Like, I am very excited about this. Okay, the next one is one that definitely has been on my radar. This is Still Beating by Jennifer Hartman. Now, I read a Jennifer Hartman in December that was called Lotus, which does feature a character from Still Beating. It's sort of a spin-off. We find out what happens to him. So this is a dark romance. It's very emotional. It has kidnapping involved in here. It sounds like the hero and the heroine in Still Beating, like they were sort of enemies, rivals at the time of their kidnapping. Then they kind of had to, or they did, form a connection and relationship during their kidnapping together. So I'm sure that this one also has a lot of triggers in it. There's a warning at the top of the blurb. Contains subject matter that may be sensitive for some readers, including rape, strong language, and explicit sex. So I think that this is, I'm honestly really excited about this. I know this is a lot of people's favorites, and I'm hyped to read this. Okay, so now this book is one that I've never heard of this author. This one has only something like 40 ratings on Goodreads. So I'm also no, it has 11. This has 11 ratings, 4 reviews. So it sounds like this, and this was published in 2020. Indie published, obviously. This sounds like it's a fantasy romance. Did I tell you the title? I'm sorry. It's called Queen of the Wild by E.M. Howell. It says, a ruler who will stop at nothing to save her people. This heroine, I'm assuming, she saves her people from the brink of ruin, and then she has to go and try and broker a peace treaty with this other country. And the hero is a warrior who is loyal to nobody but the king. He sounds like he had some questionable parentage. He's now the high commander. He doesn't really care about anything other than protecting his best friend, the king. He took a vow of celibacy to better execute his duties, and the solitude has never bothered him until now, when he is tasked with the heroine's safety. There are assassins, sacred religious practices, and impending civil war that force them into each other's arms. So I'm interested in that one. It sounds intriguing. Never heard of it before, so we'll give that one a shot. Okay, and now this one is one that I am honestly very interested in. This one was recommended by, I didn't tell you guys who recommended these. I maybe should have done that. I'm sorry for not mentioning, but everybody who left a comment, I pulled from those comments on that YouTube post if you want to go check and see. This one was recommended by Ashton, and she said that she really wants this book to like gain traction on BookTube. She feels like if people read it, it would be one that everybody would be talking about. So that immediately piqued my interest. It's called Land of the Beautiful Dead by R. Lee Smith. a couple of you chimed in on that comment and said, oh wow, yeah, I loved it. Like, I think that it sounded like it really affected her a lot when she read it, and so, like, I'm always interested in books like that. Like, I want to see a real powerful reading experience, so I'm excited about this one. I'm gonna kind of just read you the blurb because I'm not quite sure how to summarize it. So, okay, she would dare anything to save the world from his rule, even his bed. He ascended from the darkness years ago, Azrael, the eternal, the undying, bringing with him the black rains, the fires, the souring of the sky, and the eaters. Now he rules in the walled city of Haven with his favored children and his dead court, while all that is left of the living struggles to survive in the ruins of a world that used to be their own. So this sounds post-apocalyptic, fantasy-ish. Even as extinction looms, humanity will never surrender to their monstrous conqueror. Okay, so for the heroine, this brutal life's been the only one she knew, but she still believes that it can change. If the war can never truly end until the Eaters are ended, she will go to Haven, to Azrael himself, and demand he end them. To her surprise, she does not immediately die the hero's death she expected. Instead, Azrael offers her a chance to convince him, and all she has to do is submit herself to the chill embrace of the Lord of the Land of the Beautiful Dead. So this is giving me big Hades and Persephone vibes, Death and the Maiden. Like, honestly, it sounds pretty great. The cover, I'm not a fan of the cover. Not at all. But yeah, I'm very excited about this one. Unfortunately, there isn't an audio, but I definitely want to put that as priority because I'm really interested in that. Okay, and the last book is Dancing on Coals by Ellen O'Connell. So this is a historical. It sounds like it's an American, kind of a Western historical. And the person who recommended this said that they became aware of this author because Jen from the Book Refuge read, I think it's Eyes of Silver, Eyes of Gold, or something like that by this author that she really, really loved. And so the person who recommended this went and found other books by this author, and she really loved this one. So I'm excited about this. I know Jen loved that book, and I want to get to that one too. So I saw this author's name on here, and I just picked it up. So hopefully we can get to that one this year as well. So, all right, there you have it. There are 12 books that I can't wait to read that y'all recommended to me. And I'm going to preface this by saying that I am very sorry if I do not love what was a favorite book of yours, but I will definitely approach each book on here with an open mind and an open heart. And I picked books that I felt genuinely would be interesting to me. So hopefully they're great. Thank you so much for these recommendations. That was such a fun time going through that post, and hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you would like to leave me an emoji, please feel free to leave a bear emoji. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all in my next video.